Welcome to the Fat Cats Rugby Podcast, a safe space for candid rugby conversations. And my name is Ruben Higumuro. I'll be your fly half for today. And before we get into anything, I want to just let you guys know that this is particularly a rant cast. And I'll let the two gentlemen next to me introduce themselves, and then we can be able to go on. I usually don't like getting into people's titles. I may get your titles wrong, so I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. Maybe starting with Edwin, who is my co-panelist, and then we can go on from there.
Yeah, Edwin Ngwere, fixture on the Fat Cat podcast, Fat Cat Rantcast. Yeah, so yeah, lawyer by day and a fat cat my whole life. So yeah.
Actually, you have not been fat your whole life, but that's fine.
The past 2 years.
There is this thing we always like to say. Feline what?
Oh yeah, the Fat Cat podcast. You put the feline touch into Uganda Rugby. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome guys to the podcast. Bruno Akampa, a fat cat as well. And by day, I'm in real estate.
Oh, that's great. We did have our launch last Saturday at Kings Park Arena. Much appreciation to them for giving us their space and all the support they were able to. Also Nile Special for being in position to also support in any way that they did. We appreciate them so much, and we intend to have a lot more of those activations where we can directly interact with the fans and maybe live stream and have a real-time experience. But we'll basically get into what we wanted to talk about. There's a lot to rant about over the past few days. So I don't know where I should. I think we should start ranting from. Let's talk about yesterday's media blackout, Uganda versus Senegal. I remember we were in the Twitter space in partnership with Gabriel Laredo, and we are all anticipated, trying to hype up the game, trying to be like, you know what, this is what should happen, this is what we think. Only to reach 2 minutes, 3 minutes to the game, and there is nowhere where you can watch the game from. So I just want to know, first of all, where did this find you? I'm sure you all have different stories. Personally, I was at Kings Park. I really hurried to finish a lot of things. I had my mother's birthday. Made sure I finished that. Then I said, next rugby, only to be disappointed. So I don't know about you. Maybe you can let us know where it phoned you. Maybe the blackout.
Yeah, the blackout was in the office. I dedicated 2 hours. I said I was unavailable, but the match also showed me it was unavailable for me, so I had to eagerly refresh my TL at all times. I mean, it reminded me of that time when we had a blackout in 2021, and then all of a sudden, I think like days later, I found out that James Harden had gone to the Brooklyn Nets. So I felt the same way as like, what's going on? There's no updates, and I mean, eventually we managed to find an account to follow where you could see the updates. And I think I made this funny inquiry. I went on Google and I put in Senegal versus Uganda live, and I got like 16 YouTube links where they were eventually asking me, log in, sign up. Then they asked me for bank details. So also I knew that this is now going south. I actually have to wipe my phone clean. I will have some hackers in my phone right now. So yeah, that was my experience with the blackout.
You had an interesting tweet that I saw where you were ranting and you had watched yourself some Nile Special.
Yeah, an order had been made, and then I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I was so annoyed to even consume, but
I know it fascinated me. Like, it was like,
yeah,
what am I supposed to do with these beers? Like, did the media blackout take your mouth? You can still enjoy your beer.
So no, at that point I was quite annoyed. I didn't want to get into another situation, so I surrendered. I relinquished my rights to the beer, but hopefully maybe on Sunday I can take more and watch a game televised Uganda.
That's right. I was also at King's Park. I made sure my work was started early in the morning. Then by 3 I wanted to be done. So by 3:30 I was at King's Park. I wasn't alone, I was with many guys. We were ready. But we tried out everything, looking for links, all channels, K24, both the television and the...
It was very interesting that we actually really believed in ourselves, and we thought that a Kenyan channel is going to show a Ugandan game. I mean, is this the entitlement that you talk about?
Looks like
for
the Union guys also
fans?
did know.
Pardon?
Guys at the Union also did know.
Yeah.
Or maybe they chose to keep quiet because they put out the communication minutes into the deal.
You know, if I was the Union, I wouldn't have tweeted that. I wouldn't have.
Oh,
I'd have just been like, man, we're also here, we're waiting for the link.
No, they should. It's
No.
not them. It's not entirely on them.
No, I wouldn't have. I'd have just kept quiet and like, look, follow. I mean, that communication, they got some bullets there on the TL from people. Like, it was their fault. It wasn't their fault, but you know what I mean.
I know we usually like to attack the Union for many of the reasons that are valid, but I think yesterday's was not their fault entirely. You could say that they were among the unions in Africa that voted for, or that were lobbying for the Rugby Africa games to remain in Africa. Yeah, and also our neighbors, Kenya, were actually trying to lobby to see that they host the games, but all this was denied. I think also keeping in mind that Sunday is going to be a similar story, that if I'm not mistaken, it's either going to be only the final to be shown. If not, it is going to be the final and the third place place game. But all these other guys that got out from the quarterfinals, man, you'll have to. It's really embarrassing.
It's one of the reasons that Rugby Africa gave to host the games abroad in France was more exposure, then also marketing our continental game out there. But I haven't seen any, even on the televised games.
Yeah,
except the game of Algeria yesterday, which you can understand because there's a big population of Algerians in Marseille. But then we are not even benefiting. Guys are playing in empty stadiums. Now imagine those games where maybe in Kenya, okay, you can leave Kenya for the elections and the history of the violence. Maybe in Namibia, or South Africa.
South Africa would be the best bet.
South Africa has the best facilities.
That's bad load shedding, but moving on.
No, it was so bad. What they promised is not. I mean, the whole of Rugby Africa. You can create your own link where guys can watch. If television rights have refused, at least create a link. It was so bad, but we again understand that Rugby Africa is getting many things wrong. This is a platform, their platform on Twitter. By the time the first game was played, they had last sent a tweet in May.
It was in April.
You can imagine.
But which also brings, I saw it was the Vice President, Andrew Ward, who is also a former Uganda Rugby president, who was taking on the updating responsibilities. I don't know if that was part of his job description when he was getting the role, but he, I think the entire Uganda was on Andrew Ward's Twitter, and his followers actually really increased around that time. You should really check them out. I think he was at about 500 or something.
But his updates.
He's now on 800, and his updates. He just gives you the score, and then afterwards he just leaves it there. No, maybe a few times he'll give you the try scorer, and then the one that killed us yesterday, where instead of saying the conversion, he said the conversation.
Philip conversation.
Instead of saying Philip conversion, autocorrect took him to school. I think he overuses a lot.
And also the updates were not visual, nothing, not even a picture.
So Rugby Africa basically did not update us. So they usually have some half-time, full-time updates on the Instagram. But when it comes to Twitter, which is supposed to be a conversational platform,
They actually had what they updated at the start of the game, as we are still trying to see if we can get a link or channel. They updated on their status when players were coming in from the tunnel, from the locker rooms. They posted that on their status, Instagram status. That's all. And up to now, I wouldn't lie if I told you I even know all the substitutions that we made.
I mean, I think we have started the ranking Rugby Africa, so may I go ahead. I think Rugby Africa's operations need to have a TMO. We need a supervising body. I think World Rugby should supervise Rugby Africa. It's very disappointing to say the least. I mean, we have had, there was a tournament that Kenya, Brazil, Namibia played, I think last year in South Africa, and that one, there was a live stream on the World Rugby channel. I mean, you could partner with media houses in different jurisdictions, and you're in a Canal Plus link or something like that. If we don't care if it was in French.
Yeah.
All we wanted was to see our guys. Now, I'm sure I won't have a segment where we imagine what happened in the game, but at the end of the day, it doesn't help us, because for all the things that went wrong in the game against Kenya, we don't know what was corrected in the game against Senegal.
Yes.
We don't know what's going to happen in the game on Sunday. So all the thing that's going to happen is that our boys are going to come back. I mean, triumphant with their scores and tries and points and whatever, but we don't know what happened. It's going to be like those high school circuits where you go to one of those fans who will just say that let this guy go. He will narrate from game 1 up to the final. So it's one of those things you look at and you're like, no. This is very pathetic from Rugby Africa. I believe whoever made that decision may be swimming in money, but for the game of African rugby, I think that was really a sellout decision. We have lost a lot. I'm just lost for words, I must say.
Which I think brings us to the point of why France. Why did they choose France? And there's been a lot of social media backlash. I can say the most standout for me was by Black Pearl's coach, Helen Buteme, who was really, because the cited reasons why France, it was exposure for the African game, better media coverage, and in stark contrast, the national games are not even being shown. And there is a query, or you could say a theory, that this was a lobby for Francophone nations to be able to, how best can I put it, to be in what you call a home ground for them. So basically, them being in France, especially teams like Algeria, many of their players apply their trade in France. So that was the angle she was giving. I don't know. It remains a theory and it remains rumor, but you could say there is a bit of truth to it. However, in whatever the reason was, they shot themselves in the foot. You cannot take something. First of all, taking it from Africa itself is an embarrassment. Then we take it there, and then for all the reasons, we mess up. And one of the things that I think she said that's really stuck with me is, on the weekend, we're not going to be able to see Uganda play, we're not going to be able to see Burkina Faso play, but we're going to be able to watch the summer internationals. We're going to be able to watch England, we're going to be able to watch France. So we can see why. I don't want to break it down in regards to race or anything, but how can we watch international games and we can't be able to watch our own games?
I mean, it's no, they had their own reasons. Right? I think they had an agenda that they couldn't put out, because all the reasons that they gave for it being in France, like I said, out. They say they really wanted it on a neutral ground, but is it neutral? No. I think the Francophone have an upper hand in it being in France over some countries like Kenya, like Uganda. I mean, you saw the fan base of Algerians in yesterday's game. the flags were so up. Algerians have the highest population in Marseille. At some point, their flags were banned in Marseille.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so embarrassing, and for the growth of our sport, Rugby Africa has got to pull up their socks, and it will. I don't know if they take feedback from the federations, but it's high time the federations came real and point blank on this.
Yeah, I think there is so much to deliberate when you're talking about unions, from the countries' unions to Rugby Africa, that needs to be changed. But that's a story for another day. Let's just now quickly dive into Uganda 30, Senegal 29. A game that the scores, we honestly don't have any footage. And actually, we have a lot of footage, but anyway, just kidding, we don't have footage. However, looking at it from how the game was going, at least from the tweets that we were getting, Andrew Ward was kind enough, I should say, to do Rugby Africa's work, the social media manager, the brand manager. And the game was, I should say, topsy-turvy, moving from this direction to that direction. Uganda leading, actually Senegal led first, then Uganda equalized, Uganda took the lead, then Senegal came and tried to take control of the game. From the changes that came in the team, they seem to have done something right. We did watch the game, but also pointing out that Philip Okorach had 25 points alone.
Yeah.
If there was anything to describe clutch, that is it. Philip Okorach was clutch. So what do you guys have? What is your thoughts on what happened, or how we're able to at least get past a very physical Senegal side?
I think it was in our imaginative rugby of that field. I think Philip had a nice game. You can call it brilliance. I can imagine how his wing was operating, because we don't know how Sebulwa's wing was, but I believe the wing really operated as compared to the other time, and I believe the center was also active, considering how we also had some scores in the first half, equalizing. I think a pillow must have served the ball right as compared to how he had a relaxed game in our first game in France. I also think with the reactionary rugby that we played in the second half, coming from behind, then leading, you might credit Pilo's brilliance in kicking because he converted all. But I think the substitution of Wanyama for a pillow in the second half must have brought in definitely some tempo in the game, and the ball was moving.
Yeah, it's crazy to see that we have to analyze the game of guesswork. But Edwin, just looking at it from his point that, but before we actually even get into that, Philip Okorach is no stranger to having taking control of games. In 2017 at Legends against Tunisia, he scored 37 points in what was it, I think a 78, if I'm not mistaken, routing of Tunisia. Then the following year, he put 31 points on them at Chad. So just looking at, we assume that Rugby Africa 2022 for us is done. Of course, we have one more game against Ivory Coast on Sunday, which is a 5th, 6th playoff. But I'm sure we are safe from any sort of relegations from Tier 1A. However, looking at it, reflecting, what do you think we have to do in regards to team depth, in regards to basically the learning, any of the lessons we have learned from that period? Because when you observe everything, the removal of sevens players, bar Philip Okorach from the team, really cost us, especially with the backline. So, do you have any things that you think that we need to do going forward?
Well, I think Uganda needs to have resilience in its growth of rugby in the country. And when you say resilience, you have to talk about as many things as possible. We need to highlight aspects of structure. Structures build depth for a country. For a country that won in 2007, the expectation now is that we should be continuously appearing in these Rugby Africa finals, where we can at least, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I've had a final experience in a while, unless otherwise I could be mistaken. But we've had near games where we come out short, near games where we sneak it. I think we snuck Senegal in 2017. Then we have games where we're blown out of the water, we lose badly, and then there are games where we rout on the other side and we beat them hands down. So structures in our game will be very, very helpful. We need structures at schools level, and perhaps maybe we need children playing rugby, tag rugby even in primary. I saw, I think, a few pictures of kids in a prominent primary school trying out tag. That's something that's commendable. We need to start building those structures that will help the game grow. In addition to structures, you need stakeholder engagement. Stakeholder engagement means the federations that finance, that help get budgetary allocations for this game. You need government support. Government needs to come in and facilitate players, make the league as commendable as one where someone can easily say, I don't need to work.
Even the facilities themselves.
The facilities as well. Thank you for that. We need then the funds to come on board. Funds, buy merchandise. Do you have merchandise in Uganda? That's a story for another day. We need merchandise. We need funds to pay for games. We need funds to pay money to the Fat Cat podcast. That's a story for another day. You know what I mean? We need to, if your funds, your stakeholders engage in the game, it's very easy for you to have a growth in the game. You understand? If the game was in Kenya, you would have seen numbers. If it was in South Africa, you would have seen numbers. So the numbers, Rugby Africa, the sevens here at Chadron, Uganda fans came out in numbers. Those are the things we need. We need merchandise. URU needs to work on something that is quite feasible for them. The kit manufacturer, and at the same time how the cranes can make money and put it back in the game. You need a culture. What is our rugby culture as a country? What do we do? Is it spread to the clubs? Is there a coaches round table forum? I'm just speaking out of abstract, I don't know these things. But are those forums there where coaches can sit down with the national team coach and say, this is the structure. Why should Ogena play 7 the whole season and then national team plays 12? Culture. You see, get a culture where we know the national team, if this player is called upon, will need to be on this particular position, will need to be here. I mean, when you have culture, it means that you understand, if I come into the national team, it's a plug and play. It's not something abstract that is going to change me. Have coaching camps, have the national team coaches go and coach teams. I mean, the league, even in the championship. Let the national team coach have on a day. Box is not in the national championship anymore. But let's say Chambogo, I mean, have the coach come and touch base with his players. A few drills, enough. I mean, I may not be able to play on the national team, but if the national team coach comes and says, yeah, hard tackle, nice stuff, I mean, I feel encouraged as a player. So it comes down, those are things of culture, you understand? And then at the end of the day, it goes down the stakeholder engagement, but you need money. You need money. You need sponsors to come on board, sponsors who are willing to, and I think this is the key thing that needs to be done in Uganda Rugby. You need to have sponsors. You know, when you have a concert and you see our media partner is so and so, our drinks partner is so and so. The same people in Uganda Rugby. We need medical partners, insurance partners. You need media partners. to grow the game. This game is called an elite game. I don't know why, but the presumption is that rugby is for guys who went to school. I mean, there's no guy who can just say that I didn't go to school, I didn't go to this particular school even, and pick a rugby goal and play. You understand? If you could look at the team of 2007, majorly you could say that as the prime that shows that the churning out of schools league and whatever. You could name from like 1 to 15 and say this school, this school, this school, this school, and that school. You understand? Yeah. But now it shows, I mean, from the game right now, even now, starting 15, it's diverse. You see, it's not just the traditional schools that are playing rugby. Many guys who studied rugby in campus. Remember a guy, Hilary Semus, he told me he studied rugby at Moves. And I was like, wow, man, I studied rugby the whole time, but I've never even been as fit, as good as he was, you see.
Ivan,
yes.
Let's go to I remember Wanyama got Ivan from volleyball in UC.
Which Ivan?
Ivan Kabagan.
I mean, you see,
and he's one of the best props.
Yeah, so you see what I mean? Yeah. We need an environment where that will flourish. And that needs money. You understand? So get sponsors. I mean, you see, we throw shade for football that they don't perform, but they have a way of getting sponsors on board that rugby doesn't.
I think they have the numbers. We also have to figure out how to make rugby all inclusive. The reason why we have something like saying that rugby is an elite game, or it's for Abasoma, is basically because it's like as if it's a cocoon for a certain class or for a certain group of people. How do we make rugby more welcome to someone that has never even touched a rugby ball? You know, when we go outside the very few rugby centers in the country, some people don't even know that there's a game called rugby. I have actually a friend of mine told me he went to some bar and he told them to switch the channel to 231 to watch a rugby game. What is that game? How is it played? When they switched on, they were all amazed. They were like, what? These people are playing like this? How are they playing? Why are they, you know the usual questions. Why are they passing it behind if they're moving forward? Yeah. But that's the awareness we need to create, which is not there yet. We think that because small circles know it, then that is cool, which is not the case. Sponsors come because of numbers, and the numbers dictate your bargaining leverage and then the kind of money you'll be able to get. That's where soccer, that's where football, I don't like to call it soccer, that's where football comes into play.
Because even what we would now say is empowering and marketing the game throughout the country, one would say regional games. But then if you go to these regional games, they are so messed up.
Yeah.
Teams are getting walkovers. Some teams can't make it.
No jerseys.
They don't have jerseys. They just tell you get a black shirt.
Really,
you find guys are finding it hard to travel from Fort Portal to Mbara to play a game.
Yeah.
And then Mbara Titans will get a walkover.
And that can't be a thing that the union has to deal with all these things, promote the game, deal with financing and whatever. So the need for money, fundraising.
Are they outsourcing some of these things?
I mean, those are things we should have one of the guys here, maybe in the future, to discuss that. But to like, I mean, you see, also at times when you operate in abstract, somewhere where a vacuum, let's say a vacuum, where there's no inflow, outflow information, at times you may be getting the wrong end of the stick. But when you open up to people and who understand, people will actually say like, okay, now how can we help? So I think it's one of those things that, I mean, you to show the information, you can't really tell. And as we always say, that we'll always find a reason to find a problem with someone. So I think that's the people they have to deal with.
Yeah, I think we have put quite a bit of time and attention on that. Maybe as we leave it, we just Sunday is going to be a very busy day, and I just want us to quickly give us maybe your predictions or you think is going to win. But the games are we have placement games first and foremost. 7th, 8th player, the placement game is going to be between Senegal and Burkina Faso. Then we shall have 5th and 6th placement is going to be between Uganda and Cote d'Ivoire. And then we shall have 3rd and 4th, which is going to be Zimbabwe and Algeria. Zimbabwe yesterday tried to really be stubborn at the beginning, but the know-how and the structure and the organization and the dexterity on how you can be able to execute for Namibia was the big difference, blowing them out in the second half and securing the place in the final. Where they're going to meet Kenya who are able to edge Algeria. So first of all, let's start with that final. Do you think Kenya can upset the favorites?
I mean, Kenya now, considering how much they've prepared for this game, I saw some figure being attached to their preparations and expenditure they had in preparing. Then you give them their nice performance against Uganda, the East African derby. Something they badly needed after that bad performance at Shadow in the Africa
It's not been a
Sevens.
good year for Kenyan squads until last weekend.
And then you also put their last night's game against Algeria, how they really defended, bouncing back from a deficit and then defending up to the end and getting that win. I still believe they will win.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you think Kenya will win?
By a small margin.
Amazing. Wow.
Well, Kenya, I mean, you can't say, when you're looking at the game on Sunday, I think the first thing to look at is who has more pressure to win the game. Now, when I see who has more pressure, I think Kenya has more pressure. Why? Kenya has invested a lot in this team. They went to Curry Cup and they played a few games and they won a few. They have invested, they have brought back players. Nicole Nzijira came into the side, Jacob J is there. They have invested quite a lot. So, when you look at the team, your first question is, look at the game against Algeria. Yeah. The Algeria game was characterized by a comeback of sorts. In the first half, they took the lead and then Algeria slowly and comfortably came back into the game and then subsequently nearly won the game. So, now when you look at it, you need to analyze it from that perspective. Like, Kenya in the game against Namibia will have that pressure. What are they going to do? Are they going to come out guns blazing? I think they should. I think the pressure is on Kenya. They really need to win this game, and because of all the madness of the seasoning and putting the game in France, I'll go for Kenya.
Wow, so we have two Kenya predictions. As an East Africa, I would really love to see Kenya go all the way. It would be nice to have an East African nation in the Rugby World Cup next year. Watching them against Algeria, I think that they have really started to adopt structure and engrave the structure in who they were or who they are. I can say maybe a shout out to their scrummer Fasati, who was brilliant in dictating the tempo of the game. John Okoth at 12 was amazing and everything. But yeah, Edwin talked about pressure in Kenya. But the pressure of expectation as well on Namibia's end is something we can't take lightly. They have been to the World Cup, so it's an expectation. Anything less of a win on Sunday is an underperformance on their end. And the boys that are currently playing for Namibia are the boys that came here in Uganda at Legends and washed our team. I think Cleveland Lobsher, who was wearing shirt number 10, is one of the most notable guys. But I think I'm going to differ with Kenya. I think it's going to be Kenya will try to put up a bit of a fight, but it's all going to go down to structure, organization, and the team that can execute their plays better. And I think the experience of Namibia is going to come into play at that particular level.
I think one thing that amazed me most about Namibia's attack was how fluid their backline is in terms of attack. I mean, one pass, center holds onto the ball for a minute or two, okay, not a minute or two, but figuratively, and then he kicks the grabber, and the winger is already anticipating that. That fluidity is something that's going to be very key for them to beat Kenya. And then Kenya's major attacking options when the back three are open and they start a counter attack. That's their biggest threat, I think, to Namibia. So as and when how they form behind the kick is going to be very important, and how they can build up, gain the advantage line in terms of carrying the ball and the like. That's a very key thing. I think their forwards as well are going to be put to the test. If they thought Algeria was a test, the Namibia game is going to be really a good test for them.
They also realize those two are so good at attacking. So it comes back to who defends best.
Yeah.
Any side with a loophole in defense will lose the game.
Yeah.
And whoever defends well has to do it up to the end.
Yeah, you have to definitely defend for 80 minutes. That's the plan. You can't just defend 60. But ideally, the team with the less defensive mistakes will ideally win. I beg to, as an East African, I hope my prediction is wrong, but I think from an analytical point of view, Namibia is going to win.
There's something about
I hope there's a curse in what I've just said for that prediction.
Something about Namibia must be organized even their sport. The way their sport has
their affiliation with South Africa is very important too. The affiliation with South African rugby is very important in the way they play. They have teams that play in the Currie Cup. They have a lot of youngsters that grow up in those academies. So
and they have facilities as well.
Yes, so I think that resource is important. And I've always spoken about this. How can we also, in Uganda there's so quick one, it is how can we say tie ourselves on someone? Saying we have a couple of people in US, like they said, Josh Italy, how can we be able to use the MLR as a partner? They can be like our bigger brothers, to be able to have a partnership in rugby. We can be able to take some of our talent there for exposure. It's a growing rugby league, but also we can benefit from their resources, even if it's not monetary, from equipment to technical know-how. USA is a team that also now goes to the World Cup, that has been going to the World Cup for a while. So there's something we can learn from it. So if people are finding where they can find their connections, yes, we also have a bit of a relationship with South Africa, but let us try and exploit all avenues where we can be able to touch base. Let them help us with this, let them help us with this. I think that is what we need. We cannot grow this game.
Namibia guys, maybe just to point out a few things, they also have players who have played Super Rugby. I mean, I think because their fullback, Divan Rousseau, used to be a Bulls player, so he used to play in the Currie Cup, and then he also plays in the, I think he played some Super Rugby.
It's called
Jacques Bagger.
Jacques Bagger.
Yeah, but that has then they had JC Grady. He also played in, I think, I'm not really sure about the team. Then their hooker, Thorsten van Jasveld, he played for Cheetahs in Super Rugby. So this is a guy, and even I think even the game when I think Red went and scored a try, he also played that game. So then I had the commentators mentioned last night that there's a player in Namibia who plays in MLR. So I mean, you can see they have spread out their reach. You see, in terms of players. So I mean, there are two things you can do to that. You could have players playing in your local league, but make it as competitive as possible.
Yeah, very true.
If your league is as competitive as possible, you get top tier players who come out of that league. I mean, Kenya, most of their players play in Kenya, right? But I mean, it doesn't do away with the fact that they are still good in what they do. So either have your players spread out. I mean, this is another thing I want to also talk about Uganda Rugby, that you need. My major issue is now on the international stage. You have seen one thing that is definitive about Ugandans: we are small.
Yeah.
Look at Philippe Stint in France. Look how he has changed in frame and size. Have you seen the ability to still beat the defender and still maintain his speed and still add on size is still consistent? Which means that he has a gymming schedule. He has guys who tell him what to eat and what not to eat. And I mean, if we can get that benefit, just even even just a national team nutritionist or supplements or whatever. What's something that can grow our players into being lean and we don't lose any effect? We add more muscle, because you looked at the collisions in that game, Namibia, Zimbabwe. They were quite plenty and it was hard. So when you come to the size aspect, you wonder if our guys could manage. That's why it's very upset we didn't have the Senegal game on, because Senegal is quite big, and by the time we managed to do one over them, I'm sure in the collusions we must have matched them or even gave them a run for them.
And it's also sad we might not also watch the Contigo guys
who actually have similar structure.
They have the height. Even you, I'm sure you've watched their basketball as well.
Yeah.
They have tall guys. They have huge, giant guys. I think they even have some of the best locks. Guys are framed very well. I mean, it's so sad we shall not watch that.
Anyway, let us get done with Rugby Africa. I just want us to quickly peruse through these predictions. Zimbabwe, Algeria, who do you think is going to win?
Algeria.
Zimbabwe, Algeria.
Yeah. I mean, Zim played hard opposition, so I think Zim will win the battle in the back line. I think that's where it's going to be, and I think I'll give it to Zim.
Algeria was very technical. I'm going to go with Algeria there. Uganda, Ivory Coast. Do you think Ivory Coast can upset us? I wouldn't want to think that Ivory Coast is on our level, but then again, what is our level now?
I still think we shall win this, considering it is our last game. We now have a boost from yesterday's win. I'm very sure Coach Fredo might also make some major changes for the last game. I think we'll win this. Uganda.
Yeah, I think the boys will be very encouraged. The
Yes.
fact that after losing to Shamboli, to Kenya, that if we could edge a win against Senegal and then get another one against Ivory Coast, I think for the many youngsters especially, it will be a good tour for them in France. What do you think about Uganda, Ivory Coast?
No, I think Uganda will win this game. I think the focus from yesterday's game is still on. The boys are still sharp, and consistency is key. We need, perhaps, if the lineup worked, a maintenance of the lineup. Perhaps we'd want to see, considering relegation is not at stake, would you opt to see a few boys get a run in France, get DB on the pitch, get Joseph on the pitch? I saw Haji Banano on the subs.
He actually got a chance to play
on number 22. Is he back?
As well.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see some of those guys on the field. Maybe to add in regards to Cote d'Ivoire, I think Sebo Rivers did, if I'm not mistaken, he had that dazzling run against Cote d'Ivoire. It was a lunchtime game on a Saturday. I think it was either 20, I can't recall. But I mean, so if Sebo Rivers starts that game, I'm giving him 5 stars to score. I think he scored a hat-trick in that game, if I'm not mistaken. We need records. We need records where we can easily refer to. Because I remember he does all in that game. He got the ball and he dashed, and the way he runs is that he consistently. Yeah, I think it was tier 1B when we were fighting for promotion to tier 1A. He has this pace of him up where he starts slowly and he consistently increases his speed.
Up to the try line.
Up to the try line. So if that's on the table and he starts, I wouldn't put it past him to get on the scoreboard. So I think Uganda will win this one. Question is, will we get to watch it? Will we get more updates?
The Union has already confirmed.
Union has
You
confirmed.
have to follow their tweets. So I guess you have to follow the Uganda Rugby on Twitter or social media. So Senegal, Burkina Faso quickly.
Senegal.
Senegal was much like
Yeah.
Burkina Faso received a bad beating from Namibia. I think it has put them down.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, moving here from Rugby Africa, talking about quickly as we come to the end of the sport, the postponement of the national sevens. What are your thoughts on that, guys? And the reason cited are because we have many national engagements happening this weekend. The Rugby Africa, then the Commonwealth Games coming up, which we're going to be touching on a little bit later. But then we can't even watch the Rugby Africa games. Then the sevens are now also cut off until, is it 6th August? Surely, what are your thoughts on that, and what impact do you think that has on teams?
I think, first of all, we are getting not valid reason. That shouldn't be the reason. Or if our guys,
I think there is a reason underlying that.
There is a hidden reason why, and I myself I can predict it's financial. There's no reason why teams shouldn't play sevens games just because a few teams have players on national duty.
Yeah, I mean,
mind you, let me tell you, this is a big job.
Kenya has sevens going on, by the way, right now.
They are playing, and they've been playing, and it's I mean, there's a player who has been ranting about how our national team right now, considering the sevens and 15s, the players on the national duty are from a few clubs. That's okay. That's okay. They've gone on merit, but then should that paralyze the operations of the other teams?
Yeah, no. Especially when we are thinking about talking about team depth.
No. Like it shouldn't, because first of all, it's good for the other players. It's good for the sport. It's also good for the fans to see guys they do not know. I've attended almost all training sessions for the Pirates and the blackouts. You can't imagine the talent that is there. The boys you don't even know, and this was their time to shine. And trust me, we are going to see teams like Rams too, teams like Intangas take on big teams. Yeah. Or sailors beating Pirates.
Yeah, and
to me that's part of the growth of the sport. Then the players getting confidence, and also clubs realizing we need to do more. We need because some of these guys on national duty will not play forever. But the young boy who comes early for training will be with your club for maybe the next 3 to 4 years, and you need to play. It was so embarrassing, and it also shows the loopholes now planning, because you can't tell me you yourself as the union put the dates out, the rugby calendar, and then you're postponing in the same week when the first circuit is supposed to be held. I am sure some of the hosts had started the works. This weekend we were supposed to be up for the Uganda Sevens. The noise was there. They had invested in media.
Service
providers. I'm sure some had been paid, and now you can't be assured of a Ugandan service provider. You can't be sure they will be available that weekend of August. I mean, our calendar is now distorted by a month.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that, Edwin?
When I talked about structures earlier, is what I meant. Not just structures on the field, but even structures in management. You need to have structures where even if multiple engagements are ongoing, you have committees or excoms that can handle the tasks at hand. I think same for the fact that it's a union event. I think there was an organizing committee for the Nile Sevens.
Yeah.
You get. So that committee is tasked to run the operations of the tournament. I mean, when you have a circuit like this, a 2-day circuit, you always know. You go in your wardrobe and you pick out your clothes. You know, Saturday is this, Sunday is this. Because it's a whole day event. Rent out a power bank. Make sure you have enough money to enjoy your drinks and food. And then you hear this. You mean it's so disparaging because you have an entity that plans out a calendar in the year, and then come up days before the inaugural sevens kickoff for the year, and then you cancel and you give a reason which basically shows you don't plan well. As you said, the perhaps reason is a small screen for bigger issues, which is money. I mean, there's no confirmation of that, but if it's money, then that comes down to planning as well. I saw when that press release was posted on the Twitter account of URU. I don't know, I usually confuse him, either he works at Radio 1 or something like that. He quoted the Twitter and said this is why federations are not supposed to run tournaments or something like that. He said that federations, unions' job is to grow a game. That should be your job. You should have committees or particular excoms that run aspects like that. Yes.
Or even a service provider, a third party to run the league, and then because we are being led by former players, which to me is not so good.
Yeah.
Those guys should be at the policy level. We have a policy board, they strategize, the strategizing guys, they make strategies for the league, for the game, for the sport in the whole country. They should be the ones going now to outside countries to go and pitch, to go and talk to the possible partners in South Africa, in the US. You get? A club in Uganda, we shouldn't, I mean, it's 2022, we shouldn't be at a level where we have a club that can raise a 30-man team but not have a kit. These are things we should be getting free from some clubs in the US, where it's cheaper to have as many kits as possible. I mean, let the experts run the league. Let our big guys, the legends of the game, be at policy level. Or they run the clubs as well. They would, some would be having teams by now. But they're so busy running the operation.
The football thing where you have FUFA, then you have Uganda Super League.
Exactly.
Not FUFA running the league at the same time, like how URU runs the league. So when it's national team, URU comes and runs the national team.
Back to structure.
Yeah.
Maybe there's somebody points that I really hope that we have a couple of you guys subscribe and watch this so that they can be able to.
We need one of them to come
We'll definitely try to lobby them to come through and have a conversation. Like we say, candid rugby conversations. But anyway, as we dive away from that, we shall. Of course, we are trying to figure out what we're going to do with our weekends. Maybe focus on the internationals that are happening. Maybe that's what we shall focus on rugby, and then wait for Sunday and follow the tweets of the Uganda Rugby Union, and then maybe watch Kenya. This is the biggest game on the continent in regards to rugby. But let's finalize with the sevens team. The sevens team that has been released. Maybe just to go through it quickly for maybe those guys that haven't seen it and are just watching. Michael Korach, captain, of course, Ian Munyani, vice captain, Alex Saturinda, Mexit, Desire Yera, Claudio Tema, Isaac Massa, Aaron Roth, Adrian Casito, Karim Marinaitwe, Norbert O'Kane, Timothy Kisiga, William Kore, Philip Korach, and Levi Sochen. So, any surprises for you on that team? Any omissions for you on that team that you think were surprised? I think on my end I would say Kelvin Balagan, aka Big Bala, aka of the Winnie Nwaji fame.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and any surprises there, or you think the team is perfectly as a team?
Bala is out.
Yeah, he's injured, yeah, that's true. And what do you think we can expect from Birmingham?
I think
Commonwealth before the World Cup even?
I think this is a good, extremely good and solid team, and then you have to give it up to to Coach Tolbert, Timothy Mudola, and the other management team. They've done extremely good with these boys. I've seen these boys physically. They don't look the same. Boys are looking good, sharp, they put on the body. These guys have developed discipline. You can't imagine it. These are guys who some had social lives, but these boys have been keeping it up to 6 a.m. workouts every day. I think even on Saturday they had 6 a.m. workouts, and then after later in the day they go for gym at Kabira.
And
it's a good team.
Even if you come across them in a bar, they're taking soda.
They're taking soda and water.
They are not indulging in any alcoholic beverages.
I think, and we might have to learn from this what Tolbert has built for years for the Ugandan Sevens team, up to when he managed to get the idea of splitting and have them. What he has done with those boys is what a 15th side has to do. Getting boys, I remember, I don't know if you guys had seen Desire Arera when he was going to Coach Tolbert. He took him up when, he was a timid boy.
He was 19, I remember.
19, but look at him now, and he has to start. If you look at the pics of the Arons when Coach Tolbert was taking them up, Philo, this is really, really good. And I think the most reward that Coach Tolbert himself and the boys could get was that Africa Sevens Championship. And with that, I think we are so pumped up, and with the workouts that these guys have had.
We actually have more than one Africa champion. We have 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. I believe that is good enough to make the boys do the most bad. And to me, I expect a lot. This good thing that you can be assured the Queen is a big person who shall watch the games.
no media blackout.
No media blackout.
Nothing.
Okay, that would be good.
We will be entertained by the boys.
Edwin.
The Sevens guys have brought back the swag to being on the national team.
Yeah.
There is this swagger, this aura of being on the national team now that has come back with Sevens. And that's why it comes back to the fact that the national Sevens have been cancelled. How many guys were roaring to go and be like, you know what? If Tolbert comes, I can do something, and he can call me, they come. They have consistently stayed together, they know each other, they know how to pass to each other, they know how to defend based on what we watched at Chadondo. They are a definition of a team. They're a true definition of a team. How I wish we could just build up on that and become a core side. Because I will not lie, one of the codes has to grow and the other is going to suffer. At the moment you see it as 15s. The ideal position is both of them have to be at par. You understand? But I think with this growth now, this is our back-to-back appearance in going to be a back-to-back appearance in the World Cup. I mean, bigger things are coming. If we can do back-to-back World Cup, what does that ring in your head? Core side. Core side. Give it one shot 1 year. I mean, now, if we could have all these preparations for Rugby Africa Cup, Commonwealth World Cup, bigger thing now is the core series. I know it's ahead. We'll have a podcast on that surely. But I'm looking and I'm like, even someone like who is a sponsor should look at that.
Yeah.
Like, how can I, even just government itself, NCS, how can we help these guys get onto that platform? You know, there are always those European teams that try to mess with us. Germany, then goes to Hong Kong, I think, and then maybe Papua New Guinea or something like that. But now the boys have brought this world back to the national team. The coaching has remained consistent. You see there is improvement consistently. There is growth. The players get bigger and better. No compromise in terms of standards. I'm eager to watch the guys play in Birmingham. Let's see what they can do. it's just going to be an appetizer for the World Cup. Me actually, my bigger interest is the World Cup. I want to see us be better. I think the last World Cup we were 21st ranked, and then we finished 18th or 19th in ranking, which was a good show. So my thing is I want us to play the harder guys in the World Cup. And I must say kudos to the coaches. They have done a good job. How we wish we can also put that spirit and structure in 15s as well. And trust me, Uganda, the sevens have showed you a blueprint of how Ugandan rugby. If you want Ugandan rugby to grow, you have to make tough decisions. If this guy feels he's a player and he's too bad, drop him and show him that they can move on without you. I mean, also have a consistent bringing up of players into the system. Michael is going to go out soon, but you can see Ian is going to be that person.
Yes.
You see. Pius Ogena was the enforcer, you could see Bala came in as the enforcer, you see. So all those things. I mean, you have James Odong used to be the finisher, now you even have Robert Okeni is now showing you promise that he can actually do what? He can finish. You see all those things, so it's showing great promise. I think Corey was dropped for Rugby Africa and now he's back in, so I mean that shows that also, I mean the consistency, like you're being dropped does not mean you're out. You're still part of the group, you can get another chance. So it shows there is a lot of promise in sevens. All we need to do is get that blueprint and transfer it into Rugby 15s, and then also let it trickle down to the clubs as well.
Yeah, and also I think for the women's side, we can be able to just get that whole setup and have it across the board, not only for the men but also for the women, national level and club level, so that we can try to create something. But they are really an epitome or something that we can really look at and be like, yeah, this is a project done right. It's a very good project, and yeah, Tolbert Onyango and his team have really done quite a good job for that. 3 African Cups and a lot of international engagement. Hopefully, like you said, we can get into the HSBC and be a core side. And also now that I hope that we have broken the mental barrier of constantly losing to Kenya, that we can now not only just go there to play against them, but to actually compete and want to beat them. Yeah, in sevens at least we should not allow ourselves to be whitewashed by Kenya. Just always, and the core side, we aspire to be where they are. But anyway, I think it's been a great conversation. Maybe before we close off, any last remarks, any last thoughts, any last things you guys would like to share?
I think at the end of the day, we want to see our sport grow. I think whoever our leaders are and their responsibilities, they should just up the game, build structures. Let's plan better, and structures mainly. Trust me, structures bring out the magic. Yeah. Our sport can only grow if we have the right structures, we have the right enforcers, and the right manpower and the dedication and commitment.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, congratulations on the win. Congratulations to those picked out to represent the country in Birmingham. Best we can do now is just come back on the drawing board, prepare for the World Cup 15s, and then address what Duna said, structures. How do we come up with a plan that is going to be feasible for the next year? Considering the split now, I'm somewhat of the prophet. I had a tweet of I think 2017, and I put it out there. And I mean, this is not the first time Uganda has had this position where I think the only difference now is that Uganda's the players were more who would cut across the courts. I think that time it was mainly Sebuliba, Pius, Michael and Philip. Most of the guys who were on the sevens team were not cutting into the 15s. But now you can see that even the sevens guys can enter the 15s team and it's bag and play. Guys go on like normal. So it shows you that now it comes down to planning. Guys need to be able to show up and consistently look for partnerships, look for stakeholders, try to do things that can grow the game, because once the game grows, our ability to perform grows with the growth of the game. So there's a lot more future for Ugandan rugby. All we need to do is have the right leaders to do so. So that's what we pray for.
Yeah, I totally agree with both of you guys, and we definitely need to look into the structures, look into the systems, look into everything. And I think the one thing I'll add is, may our love for value and growth supersede our love for finances in the short term. Yes, we are all chasing something financial, and you cannot negate the impact of money or resources, financial resources, in growth of anything, especially in today's world and today's economy. But may we have a bigger picture, not try to rush the process. May we think big, and once we have a bigger value proposition, we can be able to attract the sponsors we need, we can be able to attract the partners we need, and create the kind of relationships and players that we need to get where we want to get. But I appreciate everyone that is watching this. I appreciate you guys for being here. Of course, we'll definitely have this once a week, delving deep into very many rugby conversations. Make sure you follow us on social media, Fat Cats Podcast. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel, and our audio channels as well will be up. Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, majorly. We shall also be sharing that information with you, but all updates will be on our platforms. Fat Cats Podcast is a product of the Fat Cats Media, which is into video production, commercial, corporate. So for all your events, that's covered. Photography as well. And if you want to hire equipment, audio, visual, and also if you want to start your podcast, let us know. I will be able to help you with that. Otherwise, myself, Edwin, and Bruno, we sign out. Cheers.